When we look at famous people on TV, in movies, on the red carpet, or on big stages around the world, we often think we know everything about them. We see their faces, hear their voices, learn about their careers, and follow their personal lives on social media. But sometimes, what we think we know is only the surface, only the part that the cameras show us. There is a deeper story behind many celebrities, especially when it comes to their family background and racial identity. In this video, we are talking about celebrities who don't look black to most people, but actually have black or African ancestry in their family history. Some of them grew up knowing about it, while others found out later in life. Some kept it private because they were scared of how the world might react, while others proudly embraced it even when people didn't believe them. These stories show that identity is not always simple, and appearances can be misleading. Let's start with Halsey, whose full name is Ashley Nicolette Frangipane. She is known around the world for her strong voice, emotional music, and creative image. But not everyone knows she is biracial. Her father is African American, and her mother is white. Growing up, Halsey felt like she never fully belonged to either side. She said that sometimes people told her she was not black enough, and other times, people said she was not white enough. This made her feel confused, lost, and unsure of who she was supposed to be. But as she got older and became famous, she decided to embrace both sides of her identity. She stopped trying to fit into boxes and built her own space where she could be herself. Today, she talks about her heritage openly and uses her platform to speak for people who feel the same way she once did. Now let's go back in time to one of the biggest names in Broadway history, Carol Channing. Most people remember her as the cheerful, blonde, blue-eyed star of Hello, Dolly, and many other classic musicals. But what the world didn't know for decades was that Carol Channing had African American ancestry. Her father was biracial, but Carol did not know this until she was a teenager. Her mother told her before she went to college, but Carol kept this information private for most of her life. She only talked about it publicly when she was nearly 80 years old. In old Hollywood, looking white was often considered important for success, and many people with mixed heritage hid their background in order to survive or protect their careers. Carol's story shows how complicated identity was during that time, and how heavy the pressure could be to hide the truth. Moving to another Hollywood legend, let's talk about Clark Gable, the famous star of Gone with the Wind. He was known as the King of Hollywood, with his strong screen presence and iconic roles. But many people believe that Clark Gable had both African American and Native American ancestry. The film studios at the time tried to hide this because they wanted him to fit the image of the perfect white leading man. But Clark Gable did not act like someone who was afraid of standing up for what was right. When Hattie McDaniel, the first black woman to win an Oscar, was banned from attending the Gone with the Wind premiere because of segregation laws, Clark Gable threatened to boycott the event. He told the studio that he would not go if she wasn't allowed to attend. Even though she later convinced him to go, his support for her showed his strong character. He often spoke out against mistreatment on set, even when it made people angry. Now let's talk about Aubrey Plaza, who many people know for her role as April in Parks and Recreation. Aubrey has a unique acting style, famous for her dry, deadpan humor. But when it comes to her background, many people are surprised to learn she has African American ancestry through her Puerto Rican father's side of the family. Aubrey has said that people often assume she is fully white because of how she looks. This made her feel disconnected from parts of her heritage. She wanted to understand her family history more deeply but felt unsure how to express it without people questioning or doubting her. Her story shows how race is not always visible, and how complicated identity can be when people judge you based only on your appearance. Another surprising celebrity on our list is Pete Wentz, the bassist of Fall Out Boy. He is known for his rock star image, his emotional lyrics, and his long career in the music industry. But many fans do not know that Pete Wentz is also biracial. His mother has Afro-Jamaican roots, which means that part of his family history goes back to the Caribbean. Pete grew up in Chicago, surrounded by different cultures, but people assumed he was white because of how he looked. He has talked about how racial identity is not always seen on the outside and how people often make fast judgments without knowing the full story. His life reminds us that heritage is more than skin color, it is about family, culture, and the experiences that shape you. Moving to another star from the 1980s, we have Jennifer Beals, the actress who starred in the hit movie, Flashdance. Jennifer is biracial, with an African-American father and an Irish-American mother. Throughout her career, people often overlooked her mixed heritage because they assumed she was white. But Jennifer has always embraced her background and even asked the writers of The L Word to make her character biracial like her. She believes representation matters and uses her influence to open doors for more diverse stories in Hollywood. These stories show us that identity is not something simple. It is not something you can see just by looking at someone's face. Every person has a deeper history inside them, shaped by generations before them, and sometimes that history is surprising, hidden, or misunderstood. And we are only getting started. Maya Rudolph is one of the funniest women in Hollywood, known for her time on Saturday Night Live and for movies like Bridesmaids. Her humor, her voice, and her acting skills make her stand out wherever she goes. But a lot of people do not realize she is biracial. Her mother was Minnie Riperton, a famous black singer known for her incredible high-note whistle register, and her father is Richard Rudolph, a Jewish composer. Growing up, Maya didn't think about race a lot, but as she got older, she realized the world saw her in different ways depending on where she was and who she was with. When she became famous, people were often surprised to learn about her mother. Maya uses her mixed identity in her comedy, creating characters who reflect pieces of her real life. Her story shows how creativity and heritage can blend together to form a unique voice. Next, let's talk about Wentworth Miller, best known for playing Michael Scofield in Prison Break. Wentworth is biracial, with a father who has African-American, Jamaican, and British ancestry, and a white mother. But because Wentworth has pale skin and light eyes, many people never guessed he had black heritage. In interviews, he talked about how he felt, in between, not fitting neatly into either racial group. People often told him he didn't look black, and others questioned why he claimed a heritage they didn't believe he belonged to. These painful experiences made him feel isolated, but they also shaped his strong voice as an actor and activist. Wentworth speaks openly about the challenges of racial identity, mental health, and the pressure to hide your true self from the world. His story teaches us that identity is not something others can define for you, it is something you define yourself. Moving on to Cash Warren, many people know him as Jessica Alba's husband, but Cash has his own story, career, and heritage. Cash is the son of Michael Warren, an African-American actor and college basketball star. Cash grew up in a culturally rich home, surrounded by diversity, conversations about identity, and a strong sense of family history. Even though Cash does not talk about race publicly very much, his identity influenced how he sees the world. He built a successful career as a producer and entrepreneur, proving that heritage doesn't always have to be loud to be meaningful. It can be a quiet strength guiding you through life. Now let's talk about Troian Bellisario, known for her role as Spencer Hastings on Pretty Little Liars. Many fans assume Troian is fully white, but she actually has black ancestry from her mother's side. Her mother, Deborah Pratt, is African-American and Creole, while her father is of Italian and Serbian descent. Troian hasn't centered her identity in the public eye, but she has talked about how her mixed background gives her a more layered understanding of the world. Her story reminds us that even when someone doesn't talk much about their race, it still shapes their experiences, their values, and their understanding of others. Now we move to Rashida Jones, famous for her roles in The Office and Parks and Recreation. Rashida is the daughter of legendary black music producer Quincy Jones and actress Peggy Lipton. Rashida has often talked about how people question her identity because she doesn't look traditionally black. She has said she sometimes felt stuck between two worlds. But instead of hiding, she chose to use her voice to talk about identity, race, and how harmful stereotypes can be. Rashida challenges the idea that black identity only looks one way. She shows that heritage can come in many shades, and identity is something deep inside you, not something written on your face. Finally, let's talk about Leona Lewis, the powerful singer who won The X Factor and became famous worldwide. Leona is of Afro-Guyanese and Welsh descent. Growing up in London, she faced cultural pressure and racial misunderstandings from people who didn't understand her background. When she entered the music industry, she faced expectations to look a certain way, act a certain way, or fit into a narrow category. But Leona refused to change who she was. She embraced her mixed identity and used it as strength in her career. She has spoken about the importance of diversity in music and how the industry needs more space for different voices. Together, all these stories show us the same powerful message: you cannot judge a person's heritage by looking at them. Race is not something you can see just by looking at skin color. It is a deep story carried through families, culture, and generations. Sometimes that story is hidden, sometimes it is misunderstood, and sometimes it surprises even the person who carries it. When we look at celebrities, we often think we know everything about them. But these stories remind us that everyone has a deeper identity that the public may never see unless they choose to share it. Hollywood has changed over the years, but these stories also show the struggles many people had to go through, struggles with acceptance, stereotypes, pressure, and expectations. But each of these celebrities found strength in their truth. They show us that identity is not defined by appearance. It is defined by history, culture, love, and experience. And by sharing their stories, they remind us to look beyond the surface and appreciate the deep, complex layers that make each person unique. When we look at all these stories together, from Halsey to Carol Channing, Clark Gable, Aubrey Plaza, Pete Wentz, Jennifer Beals, Maya Rudolph, Wentworth Miller, Cash Warren, Troyan Bellisario, Rashida Jones, and Leona Lewis, we see a powerful truth: identity is more than what the eye can see. Many of these celebrities lived their whole lives hearing comments about how they don't look black, or how they don't fit the stereotype. And that is exactly why their stories matter. Society often tries to divide people into simple categories, but real humans are complex. Heritage can come from many places at once. A person can look one way on the outside but carry a completely different story on the inside. Some of these celebrities embraced their mixed heritage proudly. Others kept it hidden because they were afraid of how the world would react. Some didn't even know about their ancestry until they were adults. But all of them prove that race is not something you can measure with your eyes. Let's think about the old days of Hollywood. Back then, the film industry had strict rules about who was considered white enough to be a star. Anyone with mixed ancestry often had to hide it or pass as white to protect their career. Carol Channing's grandmother was forced to separate from her children so they could grow up safely as white. That is heartbreaking and shows how harsh society used to be. Clark Gable faced rumors about his ancestry that could have harmed his fame, yet he still supported black actors and refused to accept racist behavior on set. These stories show that even powerful people had to deal with the weight of prejudice. Fast forward to today, and things have changed, but not completely. Celebrities like Halsey and Aubrey Plaza still talked about feeling stuck between two worlds. People questioned whether they were allowed to claim their identity based on how they looked. This shows that even in the modern world, people still judge others too quickly. But these celebrities teach us a very important lesson: your identity is not decided by other people, your identity is decided by you. You are the only one who knows your roots, your family's story, your culture, and the experiences that shaped you. No one else can take that away. Maya Rudolph shows how heritage can become a source of creativity and strength. Wentworth Miller shows how painful it can be when the world refuses to accept who you are, but also how powerful it is when you speak your truth. Rashida Jones shows how stereotypes can hurt, but also how you can use your voice to challenge them. Leona Lewis shows that you don't need to change yourself for the industry or the public, you can stay true to who you are. When people watch these celebrities on TV or in movies, they often see only the character, the performance, or the glamour. But behind all that are real people with real families, real histories, and real struggles. Their stories remind us that identity is not one thing, it is a journey. A journey that sometimes includes pride, sometimes confusion, sometimes pain, but always something meaningful. And that brings us to an even bigger idea: you can never judge a book by its cover. You never know where someone comes from. You never know what stories their family had to live through. You never know what part of their history shaped the person they are today. These celebrities are proof that heritage is full of surprises. Some of the stars we thought we knew actually have deep, hidden stories about race and culture. And by learning these stories, we can understand them better, not just as celebrities, but as human beings. In a world that often rushes to judge, these stories teach us to slow down, listen, and look deeper. So the next time you see a celebrity on screen, remember, there is always more to their story. The world is full of identity, full of culture, full of history, full of ancestors whose lives shaped the present. And the more we learn about these stories, the more we learn about our world. So now, the big question, which celebrity surprised you the most? Was it Clark Gable? Carol Channing? Halsey? Aubrey Plaza? Rashida Jones? Or maybe someone else from the list? Tell us in the comments, we read every message. And if you enjoyed discovering these hidden stories, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because this is only the beginning. We have more surprising stories, unbelievable facts, and deep history coming your way. Thank you for watching, thank you for learning with us, and we'll see you in the next one.